Hi, weirdos! You are listening to and or watching Keep It Weird, the podcast for all things mysterious, paranormal, creepy, chilling, vanishing into thin air, and everything in between. Each episode we sit down together from across the country and we talk about something weird. And today's episode is no exception because we are, of course, going beautifully bizarre, but there is one difference. We are actually recording in the same state today. Not in the same room, though that would have been magical, but we are both in the Midwest state of Illinois, which is very exciting. So same time zone, it's like I can feel her energy and it's just something a little bit fun. But we are little Midwest gals still diving into the deep, into the unsolved, mysterious ocean of a disappearing town, along with a spectacular trip to a paranormal paradise, hopefully getting super creeped out by a poltergeist or two. So let's make some Illinois for your weirdo girls. And here we go. My name is Lauren, and this is my beautiful Midwest co-host, Ashley.
Hi, weirdos. Yeah, you're in Illinois. You're clearly in a new location.
Yeah, so we couldn't go without talking about
We can't
how
not talk about it.
not only is the lighting unhinged, so we
Unhinged.
apologize, like love us through it. Like Ashley is still in like our neon gorge moment, and I am like leading a Zoom meeting for a corporate setting, but I'm in my dad's office, but actually like his bougie chair,
Let me tell you something about this bougie chair.
I'm okay with it. We got a printer. We have eagles.
We have a printer. Hold on 1 second. We have a lot of Cardinals memorabilia.
Oh, do we? I don't see.
Oh, do we? Did you see one?
Oh, is
one
there?
or two?
Is what?
Redbirds?
Yeah, Ashley and I were just discussing before we recorded how much our families love the Cardinals, and my father is proving it right here. We also have a globe, which that feels fitting. I'm kind of like, I want a globe for my background at home now in LA. So
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, you could really do like I could be the neon demon and you could be like the Indiana Jones of this podcast. We're adventurers.
which is hilarious because I don't know where anything is in the world. So like
No.
for me to have like a map of the world and a globe would be kind of great.
But one of my other favorite podcasts, not to like give any free plugs away, my brother and me
Oh,
have a
well,
YouTube channel show called The McElroy Family Clubhouse, and they had one episode where they all tried to guess the states, but you only got to see the shape of the state. And let me fucking tell you.
Oh no. Wait, can we play that?
And like there was no like size difference. Like they didn't show you the size of the state like as it was on the map. They were all relatively the same size. You just had to guess on the shape. And
Stop.
I know about 4 states based on their shape.
I'm there with
If you have a map, if you give me a map and they're all put in their right places, I could get a lot of them right. I would get a lot of them wrong.
Not all, but I could.
Not
I
all
think
of
I
them.
could get a good amount. But just the shape? Are you kidding me?
Just the shape.
First of all, I need to watch that, and I can't wait. But I want us to do this kind of.
They did one today where they ranked all 50 state flags. And it was also kind of a guessing game because a lot of the state flags don't have the state on the flag. So you just have to guess what state it is. It was fun.
They have nonsense usually on the flag.
Truly.
Oh my Atlanta.
Truly.
Okay, well.
Illinois is one of the, and that was supposed to be Illinois apostrophe.
I understood.
Illinois' flag is atrocious. It's one of the ugliest flags I have ever seen.
Do I know? I'm sure I've seen it. I'm like, it's probably here.
It looks like a Lego eagle holding a banner, and the font wrong. The eagle, hideous.
Why do we suck? Because our license plates are also boring as hell. Land of Lincoln is cool because, like, we get to claim Lincoln. He's a badass president, and, like, no one can take him from us.
He's literally, like, the most beloved president of all time. That's our guy.
But then we're just like, Land of Lincoln, and then, like, a blue stripe.
And, like, a silhouette of Lincoln's head.
Sometimes on some of the plates, you don't even get the silhouette. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we need to add a flower. Oh, I want them all to be top hats. That'd be ugly too. There's no winning, I guess.
What is Illinois known for?
Nothing but corn and Lincoln.
Yeah, and Iowa's got the corn covered.
I know, rude.
Cardinals, I feel like, are all over the Midwest, so we can't lay claim to Cardinals.
And St. Louis would be like, because they're like, we have the team, and it's like, we meant the bird.
The Thunderbird. The Thunderbird would be pretty cool to have on our flag.
Hear us out.
Hear us out.
Who makes the flags? Who makes the license plates?
What's more intimidating?
Can we vote? Do we get a vote?
Than an American Eagle, an Illinois Thunderbird. Okay?
Why is it that I don't love eagle art? Is it because it reminds me of like Donald Trump?
It could be. They're a beautiful animal, but here's the problem. Right now, if you see someone driving down the street and they have an American flag like waving behind their truck
and an eagle,
no one gets good vibes. And an eagle riding in the back,
you don't come near me.
No one gets good vibes. No one's like awesome. I would totally wave an American flag outside my house. Like I love seeing I used to love seeing American flags like outside of people's houses. It's such a beautiful flag. Like we really nailed it with our flag.
Totally.
But sorry, in the last 12-ish years, the American flag has become a really intimidating symbol, and one that's kind of used against American values. So yeah, eagle iconography down the drain.
Anyway, welcome to Keep It Weird.
Welcome to Keep It Weird. Yeah, I actually did want to bring up at some point today, might as well be now. I wanted to keep you guys in the loop as this summer unfolds because Lauren is traveling this month. I'm in the middle of transitioning to a new position in my day job. World War III is starting.
Is imminent.
There's a lot going on. And we're still like our schedule to release episodes. We're still releasing episodes on a regular basis, but you may notice our social media presence isn't where it usually is. I haven't been responding to most messages on my personal or...
I've been so absent and like it's not fair because yeah, even on my personal, I'm like I've been laying low because it's so exhausting, which like is not fair to everyone, but
yeah. And I also like I've been going weeks without posting like anything for Keep It Weird. It sucks. It's not helping our show at all, but I just don't have the capacity right now.
I know. And I know a lot of you don't out there either.
Yeah. Don't be offended if we don't get back to you. Maybe share some of our stuff on your page when we do post to help us reach some folks. That'd since we're not doing as much right now. And also use this as a reminder to take care of your mental health. Hello, yes. The mental health fairies are here to remind you to take care of yourself. Especially now when we're in the bad times and every time you open your phone, you're met with like horrific images of human suffering.
It's a lot.
If it means that you miss out on marketing opportunities, unplug. No amount of TikTok likes is going to help right now. So it's okay to be a little less available.
I agree.
Online. And that's for everyone, including myself.
I know. This is a message to all. Have grace with us. We love you. And have grace with yourself.
And then, by the way, for July, our witchy weather forecast will be tarot and oracle readings for our listeners. So email us, keepitweirdpodcast@gmail.com if you want to ask a question that will be answered in our YouTube witchy weather forecast next month. Yeah, we were talking last month just about how it's like about half the year's gone, and
oh my god, I know. What?
Basically, like the end of this month is a little bit of a respite. You need to like kind of rest. There's going to be a lot of conflict. Oh, you're telling me. And then in July, it's going to be a time to like, okay, figure out what you want, what your goals are, da 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 da. So that's a good time to ask questions and get some guidance.
Reset.
But yeah, let's get into today's weird topics. Lauren, you're going to go first.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I always need your help with this. And part of me is like, I could do the research, but I also love passing it over to Ashley because she does it so well. This segment is Unsolved Mysteries.
You know what's funny though? I watch Unsolved Mysteries all the time. And I was listening to the other night it came on, and I was thinking of my little like rendition of the Unsolved Mysteries theme. Sounds nothing like it. Where did I get it? Where did I get it from?
Wait, it doesn't?
I mean, it sort of does. I'll tell you what, I nailed the spirit of it.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
I did nail the spirit of it regardless, so I'm not changing a thing. I'm not changing a thing.
Welcome to my dad's office and welcome to Unsolved Mysteries here in Peoria, Illinois. We are going not too far from the Midwest, which I feel like we just traveled
Fun.
here I'm going to this state a lot, which is weird. We're going back to Wisconsin, y'all.
Wisconsin. You went to the Dells.
We went to the Dells, which I'm going at the end of the summer. Stay tuned. But this is not a where in the world, because you can't go to this place, and that is the mystery. What is this place? It is called Doveland, Wisconsin.
Doveland.
This could all just be internet lore. You know, you can get into conspiracy, but there are a good amount of things online that you can find that just make it seem like this place truly existed. But it is so strange. Doveland, Wisconsin is apparently a small town somewhere in Wisconsin. It's not a major city. It's not a cultural hub, not a main hub anywhere. It's just a quiet Midwestern town. And it's the kind of place that you would just pass through on a family road trip, but you will never find it on any map because it's not in any official database. There's no zip code, no mayor. There's no evidence that it ever actually existed at all. So, what is the deal with this town, and why do people so strongly believe that it existed? Did it actually vanish?
Yeah.
It is the vanishing small town of Doveland, Wisconsin. So, the story of Doveland tends to start with like a physical object. This is how the internet grabbed hold of it in the early 2000s. People were posting souvenirs saying, like, oh, I have a t shirt, I have a hat, I have a mug that said Doveland. I visited Doveland, Wisconsin, or Doveland, Wisconsin, or even just like initials that like could be anything, but they were like DWI, like here it is. So people were starting to ask, like, where is Doveland? Like, I'm from Wisconsin, I've never heard of this place. But then people from like southern parts of Wisconsin or even the outside bordering states were starting to chime in and be like, no, like it's crazy you're from Wisconsin and not knowing about this, because I have a sister and a cousin and a bleh. I used to visit Doveland all the time as a kid. People swear they have memories about this place. People have these random souvenirs. People are like, this absolutely used to exist. But there are no records anywhere. And these items will appear in thrift stores, flea markets, boxes in basements. And that's what makes the mystery so compelling. But at the same time, of course, you can just make your own merchandise. So, like,
Sure.
yes, let's all like get on the logical side immediately. But it's still very strange. Like, things will look aged and like they really came from there. But truly, like in the geological survey, and all official records, there is no Doveland, Wisconsin. It will not be on any map, no trace of it.
What on earth?
So again, it started gaining traction in the 2000s, especially in 2010 through Reddit. We know it. We love it. And then also YouTube and a few like super niche conspiracy forums, which we also love on this podcast. People began sharing stories and saying, like, I remember driving through here in the 80s or 90s, saying they had relatives. And then it really gained momentum when people were starting to like have this discussion of, are we really remembering this place? And then that's where it like kind of took on this whole new meaning that like took on the internet. Like it took it by storm. When you Google it, like a million forums, a million links where it's like,
Lauren,
maybe
I need you to acknowledge my Candle Cove reference.
What did you say? Candle Cobra?
Candle Cove.
What's Candle Cove?
Do you not know Candle Cove? Oh my God, Candle Cove. Okay, so Candle Cove was a no sleep or
was it creepypasta?
Creepypasta. It's the inspiration for season 1 of Channel Zero.
Oh my God, which is so good.
Is so good. Candle Cove was a television show that all these adults remember watching when they were kids, but their parents were like, you just kept watching the static on the TV.
Yeah, it was like, you were never watching anything. Oh my God, you showed me that episode.
But they all remember. Ugh, scary.
Oh my God, this is it. I can't believe I didn't remember that. I'm
It's
so sorry.
okay. It's
Apologies to
fine.
Ashley and apologies to everyone out there who knows how good Channel Zero is.
But that's exactly what this is reminding me of. It's like all these people have this memory of going to
Totally.
this place, and they even are like, no, but like here, like I have a shirt from it. And it's like, nope, that never existed. Sorry. It's like, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to barf.
I love that. I love this even more. See, these are the creepy
Count.
mysteries that we're here for. I love this. And that is
Ugh.
exactly it. So now I'm like freaking out that you made this connection. So sorry everyone. But like it basically feels like this universal like hallucination, like this Mandela effect type thing, but it's like we are all in this connected consciousness moment of like, are we all misremembering this together, like, or are we all just remembering like a Midwest town that's similar to this, and we're like just letting it gain
Yeah.
traction, and now it's become this whole thing. Like we don't know what's going on, but people are swearing by it. Like it doesn't seem the same as the false memories and the things of the Mandela effect.
Because they actually have physical objects from it.
Exactly.
Because the Mandela effect was something where it's like, well, look at your old Berenstain Bears stuff.
And then you're like, oh shit, it is spelled this way.
Oh my god, it is Berenstain. What?
It is Berenstain, which I'm still upset about, and I will always be.
Then why didn't we pronounce it Bearstain if it's Bearstain?
I know.
And there's a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo, okay? I will die on that hill.
Oh, instead of just a pile of fruit?
It's not just, it is a pile of fruit now, okay? I'll give you that. Damn it.
I was with you on cornucopia.
There was a cornucopia.
Have I changed? Can your Mandela effect change? Because I almost feel like I have a memory of yelling at you on that episode and being like, it's always just been fruit. But in my head now, I'm like, my undies.
My undies.
When I'd get those Fruit of the Loom undies back, because it wasn't like on the underwear, but on the bag.
It was on the bag. Or it was on the tag of the t-shirts. I fucking remember it, guys, and I don't care what anyone says. There was a cornucopia at some point.
But anyway, so is that what's happening? Once again, is it Berenstain Bears and
Yeah.
cornucopia on your undies? Who knows? But the physical evidence is the weirdest place. And I know I keep coming back to this, but like some of the posts and like postcards and things that people are showing like do predate like the widespread interest that came about that is now insane on Doveland, Wisconsin. So some people are thinking like, okay, like these look old and like these internet posts are super old and like they have no reason to be like posting this or selling it, or like why am I finding this in a thrift store? And it's like it was before the age of Etsy and everything, where it just feels like you wouldn't be doing this for attention. And I also feel like things couldn't be printed as quickly in the time that it was happening at like in late 90s, early 2000s when things are coming from. But then
Yeah.
to then like say it's debunked all again is like then still none of it can be traced. Like there's no store, there's no souvenir shop that it can be traced to. It's like who was selling this then and where like did any of this come from? So it's just like nothing could be confirmed, and it's infuriating. So let's go again back to what could be the facts, like what could be the logic. We
Yeah.
have to play for both sides, even though like I obviously always like to be in the more whimsical side and be like, this town totally existed.
It vanished.
It definitely just disappeared. But it's the misremembering. Wisconsin does have towns named Dovre, Des Peres, could be Des Pierre, sorry, Wisconsin, Deerfield, and several more D's. It's entirely possible
Right.
that somebody is just like combining these names together and they're like, oh yeah, I totally know that place. They misread a sign, whatever. And then with the help of the internet, this just becomes a myth. And then there's the psychological angle that Doveland represents the kind of American town that we all want to exist, which I sort of commented on. It's like a stand in for every vague childhood memory we have when we're on a road trip and there's a certain smell, a certain big oak tree, a certain gas station, like a certain little market, like things that we are saying, oh, that was Doveland, but was it, or is it like something we want to believe in, which our brains do all the time, being like, yep, that's it, and that's like what I'm going to cover. I'm going to blanket that and say this is absolutely it, when it could be, I mean, a lot of Midwestern towns look alike. Sorry to say.
My thought initially was that Doveland would be like Sunnyvale for Buffy, or
Totally.
I don't know, what's the town in Gilmore Girls?
Stars Hollow.
Stars Hollow. It's something like that, where it was like, oh, Doveland. It's a town from The Simpsons. Not Springfield, obviously, but
Small town USA. Like that. It's the
yeah,
generic
Pleasantville.
nostalgic, yeah, Pleasantville type place, which, like, again, our brains, that's like the psychological part, is our brains absolutely do that. It like is just covering up, like, well, yeah, that is exactly the town I'm thinking of. It's Doveland. And it's just like blanketing over any of our actual memories and saying that's for sure the place that I was. So it's like that's kind of the psychological angle. There's all these things that it could be, but there is a photo that, like, again, nobody can like trace back, but several people have this memory that it is people who lived in Doveland, Wisconsin. So it's this weird thing that like is all over the internet, and people are like, oh yeah, those are the Doveland people.
What do these people look like? Do they have horns?
No, they look like normal people, but it's just like it's kind of like a blown out photo. It almost looks like they were taking one of those aura energy photos.
Or a photography?
Because there's like the
Right.
weirdest lighting, but there's a guy who, like, I guess works at that restaurant. He's in his apron next to the girl, and like everyone, nobody can trace where that photo came from. Like, no matter how far you Google, it's not like, oh yeah, that was Jimmy from Texas. It's like no one knows where it came from, but the only things you can find are Reddit and like Yahoo posts of people being like, well, they're from Doveland.
What the fuck?
Who?
This is so clearly a phone taking a picture of a photograph, like a physical printed photo.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, can somebody come forward and debunk this so I can go to sleep and lay my head down on my pillow? Because who are these assholes? Are they from the Vanishing Dovelet? Like, have we ever seen them again? Where did old Patty and Rocco go?
Yeah, and it's not like this is on FBI's Most Wanted, so the reach of this photo is probably not very far. Hasn't been seen by a lot of people. I've never seen it.
I've never seen that photo. To get to some more theories that aren't just people being logical, the people who believe it existed think that there was an earthquake that destroyed the town, or a massive sinkhole that swallowed up the town, or that some military practice was going on in this town and it was so small that they were able to just kind of be like, and goodbye, and the city limits will just connect from the other
Like
place.
they opened a rip in reality and the mist came out and killed everybody, and then they were just like, there's no Doveland.
See you later. That didn't exist.
Doveland? That sounds like a fake name.
Exactly. Or there could have been flooding. Like, was it washed away? Like any of those things. The craziest that I like threw in there, and I hope you noticed, is like that it was a military town that ceased to exist after an operation or a war had ended. Because there are temporary towns
For sure.
that this has happened to before. It was like you only served this purpose of being a military town and then you were gone. So it could be that, but at the same time,
We'd have a record.
those are still talked about. It's like, well, that still existed, and like Dublin wasn't. But there are a couple of things. There is the Philadelphia Project and the Sanguine Project, I believe it's called. Both of them were CIA like operations, and people think that they had to do with them because those were tactics where they were like coming into small towns, taking over them for a short time, and then wiping them away like nothing existed and trying to erase themselves from ever being there. So a lot of people think, because of the timing, because it's believed to have existed in the 80s and 90s, that that's like what was going on because of the timing with those projects. So the military thing is what people are holding on to most. It's like, I think government, I think military, I think CIA, or there used to be something called the Doveland Real Estate Agency, which, like, if you Google it, there is a Doveland agency, which is just like a separate, like, accounting firm. But there was a Doveland Real Estate Agency that was like super shady and only had like 2 listings on their page. And it was like, we are offering you rural land for like very specific purposes. Or it was like, we have these lots, like a very specific size, like, you'll know what to do with it type things. And it was like, contact us. And it was just like one phone number and like an Outlook email. Like, it was so suspicious.
Weird.
And a couple people on Reddit were commenting to have seen that before too. And it was like, and then that vanished. And it said it was based out of Wisconsin at the bottom in the small print. So a lot of people think it was again, the military thing where they were just trying to like use the land for something, and maybe that was code using that weird ass sus website saying, come get this land, wink wink, you know who you are, because we need you to like come and fulfill your job. Pick up sleeper agents.
Sergeant Shaw. Sergeant Raymond Shaw. Sergeant Raymond Quintus Shaw. That's a Manchurian Candidate joke. Yeah, I feel like, in 10 years we might get a CIA declassified document that's like Project Doveland.
I just don't, it doesn't feel like enough of a hoax to me because there's so many things we read on Reddit where it's like, I think this is just urban legend. I even almost overlooked this one, except that people are coming forth with like the thrift store items, that random photo, which I know could be anything, but it's still kind of weird. And just so many people swearing on their lives that they visited their cousins and grandparents in Doveland, Wisconsin. It's like, no, it wasn't Dover, it was Doveland. I don't know. There's a part of me, something in my gut that's pulling me towards this. So I'd be curious if any of you out there have heard of it, if you have any other information, if you know anything about the photo, are you the person in that photo?
We need to know. Did you take the photo? Are you behind the camera?
Just has such a life of its own that there's something about it that really intrigues me. And I want to know where it went.
Where did it go? Did it ever exist?
Was it ever real at all?
Was it on another timeline? Was it on the timeline where Nelson Mandela died in the 80s? Maybe it was on that timeline.
Exactly. It is the Nelson Mandela timeline. I was like, Ashley will for sure have a good comment on timelines. Because, yeah, part of me is like, did we get this little like glitch in the Matrix moment?
Where all of these things happened. Some people believe that the actual glitch did happen on January 1st in the year 2000.
Y2K.
Where just something happened and we all split off. And some of us are in the reality where Nelson Mandela died in the 80s and Doveland existed and there was a cornucopia.
Wait a minute,
Fruit of the
Ashley.
Loom. What?
Did you even hear the statement you just made when it turned to 2000? This all came about in the year 2000. I don't know if it was exactly 2000. That's like me egging it on. But everybody says like the artifacts, quote unquote, are from early 2000s. So the Y2K theory, that was where we split. And that's where the Doveland, Wisconsin people were like, where am I? My house is gone.
Where am I right now? I could have swore I lived here, but it's a parking lot.
I guess I'm in Milwaukee now. So that that is the mystery of Doveland, Wisconsin. It's kind of a mystery / conspiracy.
I love it.
Love stuff like that. And again, it caught my eye just because it seems like there's a bit more belief than other internet hoaxes. So
Then Slenderman. Gosh, when we first started this podcast, so it was about 2017, 2016 when we sort of announced it and we're asking people to like send in creepy stuff for us. And the amount of people, no offense if you're listening and this was you, we all get confused sometimes, but the amount of people that sent in like Slenderman stories, and it was like,
no, that's not.
guys,
we're not doing that. We love that.
Did you ever hear about the staircases in the woods? And it's like, that's a fucking creepypasta, guys. Salad fingers? Can we get a grip?
Honestly, I wish we had gotten more salad finger stories because I will always accept that. No, we got a couple, even semi-recently, or at least I did, from fools on my personal account. So this is why, like, I'm not calling out the weirdos. These are pretend weirdos who sent me that one. It's such a creepy story, but it is absolutely fake, of a girl who was traveling abroad by herself and like met a guy in a club, went back to his house, and he like kept pouring things on her and was like into weird sexy stuff. And then when she got home, she got a weird rash on her body, so she went to see the doctor, and the doctor was like, you have remnants of a flesh-eating bacteria that cannibals use to kill their victims, and like you were almost eaten by that man abroad. That story has been sent to me countless times over the years, but like also recently, where I was like, haven't we learned there was no cannibal at the German club? There wasn't one. It's a great story.
Great story. Great story, guys. I don't think that liquid exists. Is it hot sauce? Were you being seasoned? What are we talking about?
I almost pulled my headphones. Did he just season you?
Did he just season you real quick?
Was it like ground cumin?
Yeah. Some Italian seasoning?
The oregano?
But no, I don't think there's a cannibal serum yet. But who knows where we're heading.
All right. Creepypasta. It all comes full circle. Doveland, Wisconsin. We'll see ya there.
See you there.
The end.
Okay. Well, are you ready for a paranormal paradise?
Oh, I didn't have it.
You know what? You're putting too much stank on it. You need to ease up on the stank. Give a little bit more space between those teeth.
Oh, yours is just so good. But man, we'll never forget that day when I got it.
A paradise it was not, but today I wanted to tell you the story of Canada's most infamous poltergeist.
I already want to cry.
So far on Keep It Weird, we've discussed America's most famous poltergeist, the Bell Witch, out of Tennessee. We've discussed England's most famous poltergeist, the Enfield haunting, and today...
Right, I was like, who?
Today we're heading to Nova Scotia, Canada, for a case known as the Great Amherst Mystery. Ooh, spooky. Now, here's the thing. This is a long story, but I am going to tell it in full because it's an extremely well-documented case with hundreds, perhaps thousands, of witnesses.
This is what I'm saying. It's the corroboration. It's the witnesses.
So this story begins in August of 1878, long ago, and it revolves around a girl named Esther Cox. Esther was an 18-year-old girl who lived with her sister Olive. Now this is going to get a little complicated.
Okay, I was like, do I need to write it down?
She lived with her sister Olive, her sister's husband Daniel, their two little boys who were 5 and 1, as well as Daniel's brother John, and Esther and Olive's sister Jenny, and Esther and Olive's brother William.
Oh my God.
So it was a packed cottage.
Big old, this is Full House to the extreme.
That's life in the 1800s, baby. We all packed in like sardines.
We lived together. We packed in as many as we could.
I'm sure there was some drama in that house. But Dan was a well-respected man in town. He was the lead foreman of the Amherst Shoe Factory, and William Cox was one of his factory men. Daniel's brother John also helped in the factory, but his main occupation was farming, which he often traveled to do. The women obviously didn't have jobs. It was 1878.
Just folded the laundry.
Just at home, shuffling their feet. The entire family attended church every week. Esther, Olive, and Jenny were very popular, and the family was well respected in their community. Okay? Just to paint a picture of who these people were.
Put that out there, yeah?
So on August 28th of 1878, Esther Cox went on a date. Now, this is going to get a little rough, but fear not, you're in good hands. There was a man. His name was Bob McNeil. He was an employee of her brother-in-law who visited their cottage pretty regularly and struck up some flirtatious conversations with Esther and eventually asked her if she'd accompany him for a ride in his carriage. So they went on their carriage ride throughout the countryside. It was very romantic and lovely until Bob stopped the vehicle and pulled a gun on Esther and ordered her to get out of the car and move into the woods on the side of the road, where I can only assume he would sexually assault her and possibly kill her.
Yeah, do something absolutely horrific.
But we will never know because miraculously another carriage happened to drive by, which like the fucking 1878, the likelihood of running into another carriage,
that's crazy.
low.
It's real low. You're not going to see anybody out on that road.
Fucking miracle. And they're on like a deep country road. They're not like in town. They're on a deep. He took her to a secluded area so he could do this. Another carriage happened to drive by, and they did slow down to be like, "What's the problem?" And McNeil, I don't know what he said to them. He talked his way out of it, but he was clearly spooked. So he drove Esther back to the cottage, dropped her off before, I guess, leaving town forever. Like, no one knew where he went after that. There are records of him still being alive, like into the 1900s, but like in another place. Like, he left town.
Like, he was just gone.
I think maybe he saw the writing on the wall, that maybe his dirty details would get out. So, anyways, Esther went home, cried herself to sleep. She was distraught. The family, she didn't tell anyone though. And the family could tell she was upset the days and weeks after the date, but she was too embarrassed to tell them what happened on her date. Because, one, I don't think women talked about that kind of stuff a lot back then.
I mean, I feel like they still don't sometimes.
Also, they still fucking don't sometimes, because it's not something that, like, what are people going to do?
I know.
It's like, hey, a guy held a gun on me and almost raped me, but I luckily got out free. It's like, well, what more do you want?
Yeah. Do you need me to, like, do something for you? Sorry.
Yeah, do you want a fucking back rub? So, anyways, but also she was embarrassed because both of her sisters continuously warned her not to see him, and no one would have been surprised. No one asked her for details, though, because they just assumed the date went poorly because Bob sucked, and also Bob stopped coming around after that, and they were all pretty okay with that. So they just sort of let it go. They were like, that's fine.
Fuck Bob.
When this case was studied later and people were interviewed about Bob McNeil, locals had claimed Bob McNeil was a fucking sadist who would skin cats alive and watch them run around in pain. So,
Okay, so
cool guy.
we really love this guy. Oh, you couldn't do background checks. You couldn't do any of the research.
No.
It's like you have to find this out later where it's like, oh yeah, that dude, he fucking sucks.
The gentleman caller comes to your house and like
Yeah.
flirts with you, and you're 18 and
You
you live
don't
with your
know.
sisters and their
know.
family.
That's
like
so sad. You find out
horrible.
years later.
Anyways, a week or so after the date, strange things started to occur in their house.
Oof.
The first event that they made note of, at least that they sort of noticed was weird, took place in Jenny and Esther's bedroom. Jenny and Esther shared a bedroom. Not only did they share a bedroom, so Esther was 18, Jenny at the time was about 22. They slept in the same bed. Like, it's the 1800s.
I know. Again, it's like 3 to a bed sometimes. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
So they were in bed one night. This was September. They had just laid down to sleep when the sheets began to move like there was a mouse in them. So the girls leapt out of bed screaming, because of course they did. And they started stripping the bed to get the mouse out, only to find that there wasn't a mouse. Like, they couldn't find it. And they searched the entire bed for something. And even as they were searching the bed, they could like hear something moving around in the mattress, and the mattress kept moving. So
hell no.
It seemed like something was inside, but they never could find anything in there. I should note that the mattress was, of course, made of straw.
As mattresses were.
As mattresses were. Okay? You could sleep on straw or wood or dirt. What do you want?
The straw, please.
Straw.
Like, in the straw, you'd be able to, like, really hear and feel, like, everything, I would think. Like,
I would think so, but also, like, a mouse crawling into your bed is probably more common then than it is for me now. Like, I'm not gonna have that problem, but
yeah, they'd be like, I hang out in the straw, so fuck off.
Yeah, mice live in straw.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, they didn't find a mouse, but they thought that was weird. The very next night, they heard movement again in the room, like a little skittering sound, and they found that it was coming from a box under the bed that was full of pieces of fabric, like scraps of fabric. And again, they were like, the mouse! So they pulled the box out from under the bed. They placed it in the center of the room to start looking through it for a critter. But before they could do so, the box shot up a foot in the air, landing on its side.
No thanks.
Prompting both the girls to scream bloody murder, because of course. And Daniel came in, their brother-in-law came in, and was like, what's going on? They told him, and he basically just like laughed at them, put the box back under the bed, told the girls they were dreaming. No one believed them.
No one ever believes.
Nope, not yet, but they're about to, because
Oh, shit. All right.
the next night, Esther went to bed early because she had a fever. And later, after the rest of the family went to sleep, in the middle of the night, she woke up her sister Jenny, telling her that she thought she was dying. And Jenny lit a bedside lamp and was horrified to find that her sister's body was swelling up. Her face was red, her eyes were bulging out of their sockets, her stomach was distended, and her hands and feet were swelling, like her fingers and toes were swelling.
What? It's horrifying.
But it's the 1800s. I bet a bunch of shit like that happened. It was probably very scary. But she ran to, like, get Olive and Daniel, and as they were gathered in the room, they saw Esther's face. It was like blood red, they said. It was like beet red, and all of a sudden, it completely drained of color, and at that very instant, in the room, a clap of thunder sounded that they all said sounded like it came from inside the house.
A clap of thunder from inside the house. Like, it's not just like a, like, ooh, boom, clap.
It's not. It's a clap of thunder. It was so loud.
Inside, like, that would be insane. That would rock your world. Quite
Truly.
literally.
Olive ran to the window and lifted the curtain to see, like, if there was a storm, or, like, she was like, did our house get struck by lightning? What the fuck?
Did something explode?
She went to the window. She didn't see anything wrong. As soon as she closed the curtain, 3 loud booms, like loud knocks that seemed to come from underneath Esther's bed. They were so loud that all of the witnesses, which at that point was Olive, Daniel, John, and William, so 4 adults
Witnesses.
in the room, 5 Jenny, in the room, witnesses, say that it was so loud the room shook.
Wow, 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 wow.
But after those 3 booms, those 3 loud knocks, Esther's body returned to its normal size and color, and she began sleeping soundly. So everyone eventually went back to bed, probably didn't sleep. I know Jenny didn't sleep because she had to share a fucking bed with Esther.
Yeah, hell no. That poor girl.
That'd be like when we're on the Queen Mary and I was sleeping next to Tyler, and that man was doing a, like, entire choreographed swimming routine.
He was having, like, a whole experience, and you just had to, like, bounce around in the bed with him. But then I was left alone in the room with the little ghost boy on the boat, so I also didn't love that. But yeah, I feel so bad for Jenny being like, okay, Esther, good night. It's like, your room has the shitty stuff. Like, that sucks.
Good night, I don't know what's going on with you. So things did ease up for a few days right after that. Esther basically lost her appetite. Like, she had trouble eating for a few days, but nothing else weird was happening to her.
Homegirl's going through it.
Listen, tough time. Until 4 nights later, when the family was woken up by Esther's screaming. And Jenny, who was in the room with her, fainted after she witnessed Esther's bed sheets shoot off the bed and across the room.
No.
So the blankets on top of them shot off the bed across the room into the corner. Jenny faints. When Olive and Daniel get to the room, they see Jenny laying on the floor, Esther's screaming that she's being electrocuted, and the blankets are across the room. So they run and get the blankets. One of them runs to get the blankets. One of them runs to Jenny. They're trying to wake Jenny up. The other one's got the blankets. And they go over to cover Esther. And as soon as they get the blankets on top of her body and get her tucked in again,
No.
the blankets fly across the room, back into the corner.
And so they witnessed it this time.
Witnessed.
Did they see it?
Yeah, they all saw it happen. And actually, right after that, the sheets flew off the bed. Also, her pillow that was under her head flew out from under her head and hit Daniel's brother John in the face as he was, like, coming in the room. And John literally was like, this is the devil, bye. Like, he did not go back in that room. He was like, I'm out.
I'm with John.
I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I don't want anything to do with it.
Satan has arrived.
Let me live.
Set me free.
Set me free.
I feel bad for Jenny still. Like, have we checked on her? Where's she at? She's
passed
still on the
out.
floor?
No, they do wake her up. She wasn't that bad. She fainted. She came back. She was fine.
All right.
But so John leaves the room. Olive, Daniel, and Jenny, who's finally awake, end up holding the sheets down over her body, that by each sitting on a corner of the bed with the sheets, because they said they could still feel the sheets like they were being pulled by something. They said this only lasted about 5 minutes, but obviously felt like it was freaking forever.
Yeah.
The banging stopped. Esther's swelling in her feet and hands started to go down, and again she fell asleep. This is when they were like, we should call a doctor.
Yeah, should we bring someone else in? Can they help us, please?
That's when Dr. Karit shows up. He came the next day. Daniel went to town, kind of talked to him about what was going on, and the doctor even laughed and was like, what? And he was like, just please come see her. Dr. Karit went to the house. He diagnosed Esther with hysteria.
Of course. Because wasn't that the only diagnosis for women at the time?
Yeah, they were like, I don't know, she's throwing a fit. What do you want?
I don't know, she's upset. Is it her monthly?
Is she on her period? No, so he gave her some morphine, knocked her out. The loud booms started again when the doctor was in the house, and he is actually named as one of the witnesses to not only hear them, but to also search the premises for something that could have caused them, and found nothing.
Okay, good. We need the doctor to be on our side. You saw it, you heard it.
The doctor was immediately in. Upon returning to Esther's room where she was knocked out with morphine, the doctor saw and noted, Esther Cox, you are mine to kill, etched in the wall above her bed. Now, she was knocked out with morphine while they were searching the house. So if she did wake up and do that,
who fucking
maybe
etched that?
So he visited the house again nights later, where he reportedly gave her, listen to this is crazy. They were trying to calm her down again. The knocks were happening. The sheets were being pulled from the bed. It was madness. He gave her an ounce of potassium bromide, a heavy dose of morphine, laudanum, and half a pint of brandy. And none of it had any effect on her at all.
Holy shit. Anyone else would be dead, or if you don't die, you are so sedated that your heart rate barely exists.
It's like she needed a horse tranquilizer.
I was gonna say, so she's an elephant.
Yeah.
That is hello? Okay.
So that's when the doctor was like, you need more help than I can provide. So the doctor did bring the story to some of his colleagues, and that's when the story started trickling out into the public. Before this, it was pretty contained. The family wasn't talking to people about it.
Sure.
But that's also when the family found out that those loud booms and bangs that they were experiencing in the house were loud enough that the neighbors were hearing them.
Oh, wow.
Because the neighbors started coming around saying, we wondered what all that noise was. Could it really be Esther? Is it really Esther doing that?
Hearing that racket.
So people started coming around, just neighbors and family at first, and the knocking continued in the house. And during these weeks, Dr. Karit was at the house fucking daily. He was fascinated by this case. How could you not be?
My God, yeah.
Hello. And he started taking notes with date and timestamps on these strange occurrences that were happening. So, again, great documentation.
Yes.
About 3 weeks into his study of Esther, Esther has a pretty traumatic seizure. And during her seizure, she revealed what happened on the date with Bob McNeil back in August.
Ooh.
She told the doctor and her family everything during the seizure. The gun, the attempted assault, the miracle carriage that rode up and saved her. She didn't remember doing this. When she finally recovered from the seizure, they brought it up to her. She did not remember telling them, and that's when she kind of broke down, cried, and admitted that everything that she said during the seizure was true.
Wow. Ugh.
That's really fucked up.
It is.
And then obviously the family felt bad and were like, why didn't you tell us? And she was like, for reasons, a million reasons. I'm a teenage girl.
A million reasons. And and what would you have done?
What would you have done?
Of course people are going to feel sad. I'm not saying her family's total monsters. It's literally, it's the times. And it's also just being a woman, because we say it's the times, but even today, this is an issue.
It's still the times. The times
I could have told you,
end.
and I don't know that anything would have been done. And then it's just shame upon your family. So
yeah,
I do get it. But my gosh, this poor girl.
I know. Rough. She's 18.
Now it's literally haunting her. And
Literally. This is when the family actually started trying to communicate with what they believed to be a spirit haunting the house who was terrorizing Esther. Via taps and knocks, very similar to the Bell Witch case in Tennessee, they were informed that the name of the main spirit, the one that was tormenting her, was Bob Nickel.
Bob.
Notice that his name is also Bob. Voices eventually introduced themselves. Disembodied voices were in the house. There was a Maggie Fisher and her sister Mary Fisher were in the house.
What are they doing?
I don't know. Living life. There was a spirit named Peter Cox. There was a Jane Nickel, maybe some relation to Bob Nickel, and an Eliza McNeil. So it's interesting to note that Bob and McNeil can be picked out of the names
Yeah, I was like, excuse me?
of the supposed ghosts. But we can talk about that when we get to our skepticism corner, I guess. So,
I guess.
members of the clergy, I guess if we have to. Members of the clergy visited the home. They all had differing opinions.
That was the cutest way to say opinions.
In my opinion.
My opinion.
They all had different opinions. One of them stated that the traumatic incident she experienced with Bob McNeil had turned Esther into a human battery. He believed that the loud bangs and thunderclaps were actually coming from her energy, which is a really progressive theory for
I can't believe somebody said that.
back in those days.
Yeah, what? Okay, who's that? Who was that? Who was that king?
Who was that?
Queen?
Well, we know it's king because
Oh, yes.
it was a man of God, and women are filthy and don't belong in the house of God.
Correct, okay.
One of the clergymen left saying Esther was a scam artist. He didn't believe any of it. Another clergyman allegedly witnessed cold water begin to bubble up like it was boiling. It didn't get hot, but it was bubbling when Esther got near it during one of her visits for spiritual counseling.
Oh, and I hate that.
Troubling stuff. Dr. Karit continued to be a daily caller at the cottage. He'd have one theory one day, and then something new and insane would happen, and he'd come up with a new theory, and eventually he just became a passive spectator like everyone else because he was just stumped. He was like, I don't know, but I can't miss it. This is crazy. And it was at this point that people were coming from all over to try and witness one of the manifestations, so much so that the village police force had to be called on more than one occasion to keep order outside of the house because so many people were gathered.
Because they were like, what's going on?
I mean, you could hear banging from outside the house. So, like, even if you weren't invited in and you couldn't get in, you could hear crazy shit happening inside.
Well, and also, like, again, think of the times.
What else do they have to do?
You had nothing to do.
We got rid of public executions.
If you heard there was a house banging around, I'd be like, let's go. This is our television show.
I was going to say it's Nova Scotia, so all they had to do was wave at ships as they're going away and check out the fucking devil girl in Amherst.
Yep, that's it. That's me. That's your weekend.
So, in December of this year, 1878, Esther came down with a pretty serious case of diphtheria. It took her 2 weeks to recover, and during those 2 weeks, there were no new events. It was as quiet as it had been since it started. When she was better, she ended up traveling to visit another sister. How many sisters do these bronze have?
A lot of siblings.
And during that 2 weeks, she was gone. Again, no activity in the house. So an entire month goes by with no knocks, no nothing.
Interesting.
But when she came back to the house, fully recovered, it started back up times 4. This time it was getting kind of dangerous because small fires were starting all around the house. And most of the first ones were found just little burn marks around the house. And then the first major one, in one instance, Esther's dress supposedly fell off a hook that it was hanging on in the bedroom, rolled up and shot under the bed and lit on fire.
Ashley,
that's the scariest shit I've ever heard.
Dresses cannot do that, and that is like a scene from a horror movie that I have like never seen done. If I did, I like would shit my pants. Like that is so disturbing to imagine. That
Yeah.
is so scary
That's tough.
to like watch it like shoot under and then light on fire. I would be like, okay, again, Satan is definitely here. Wasn't that John? King John is my king earlier, him being like, so I'm gonna head out.
So I'm gonna go.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna get out of here. No, thank you. I can't understand. I don't know how anyone is going to be against this. Like, I know you have to be devil's advocate, but I don't even want to hear the skeptics.
I haven't even gotten to the craziest stuff yet. So
Oh, I keep almost ripping these headphones out of my head. Okay, tell me more.
So, the problem with that one is, though, Esther was the only witness to this one. So people thought for sure that what she claimed happened could not have happened. But then, one night, the entire family was together in a room upstairs, and a fire broke out in the cellar that almost burnt the whole house down.
Damn.
There's no way she could have done this.
No.
At this point, the family doesn't know what to do. Like, their house is about to burn down. Esther was claiming at this point that one of the spirits was telling her that the home was going to burn down if she stayed there. So they basically sent her to live with a neighbor. Like, she was like, I don't want to stay here. I'm afraid my family's going to die. Yeah. So she went to live with a neighbor named John White, who also gave her a job in his restaurant. He had a little, like, diner-ish. Well, I guess it wasn't a diner. This was 1878, but it was a watering hole. He had a restaurant. And
right, sure.
John did know about the activity. He was actually really interested in it, which is why they had gone to him, because he had like shown up a couple times to ask questions, and he seemed genuinely interested. But he also didn't believe in the more extreme stuff. He thought they were exaggerating, and he definitely didn't think it was dangerous until she moved into his house.
Oh. Oh no.
So this is another family with a handful of events that they witnessed. John, according to his reports, he said Esther's body acted like a magnet of some kind. Metal, which they didn't have a lot of, this is interesting, they didn't have a lot of metal in their house, but in his restaurant and his house there was a lot more metal. And he said that metal was like attracted to her. Silverware at his restaurant was constantly moving around her. Doors at his restaurant that had a lot of metal in them would fly open on their hinges if she came near them.
So literal magnetism, like magnet, yeah.
Literal magnetism, like she was a fucking magnet.
Ugh.
And there was also an incident in which John White's son was holding a knife at the restaurant, and that knife flew from his hands and stabbed Esther in the back. And John himself removed the knife, and then he said the knife flew from his hand right back into the same wound in Esther's back.
Into the exact same spot?
Into the exact same spot it was.
Fuck.
Can you imagine?
No!
Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
The thunderclaps were continuing. He heard about the doctor's theory about, like, her body being, like, some electric coil of some kind.
I mean, yeah.
And this, like, electricity was in its infancy. It was being theorized. Like, it definitely wasn't in people's homes, not even close.
Right. So that wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, of course it's this. Yeah.
It was fringe science. So he wanted to see if he started experimenting on her. He wanted to see if he could turn off this, like, human battery idea that the priest proposed by making Esther wear glass shoe insoles. Ouch.
That hurts me.
That hurts my feet.
I hate it.
But it didn't stop the booming sounds. It just caused a lot of pain and discomfort for Esther, so they gave up on that. And John White...
Esther needs some peace.
Yeah, can we not? John White ended up sending Esther back to live with her family at home because small fires started to break out in his house as well. And, you know, this has been fun and all, but I'm not about to lose my house and my family for some sick, haunted neighbor. Okay? Get out of here. It was at this point several Nova Scotian newspapers were literally covering the story as a haunting. Those were the days I would have thrived.
Those were the days.
And the news of Esther was reaching far and wide. It reached as far as New York City. In the spring of 1879 of the next year, William and John left indefinitely. I think they eventually moved back to maybe, I don't know. I think they moved out. They were done.
They were over it. They were like, I need to get the hell out of Dodge.
The family was just constantly being terrorized by stupid shit.
1000%.
Even, normal poltergeist stuff too, where it's like you'll be cleaning with a scrub brush and then you look down and the scrub brush is gone.
I love you saying normal poltergeist stuff. Like,
Normal poltergeist stuff.
the casual stuff, like something might fly out of your hand once or twice.
Things going missing and never returning. Annoying shit that would drive you insane.
Like, yeah, no thank you to all of it.
So they left. Esther got a very special invite to stay in St. John, New Brunswick. It was at the invitation of a military officer named Captain John Beck. Whew, mysterious, spooky, strange. The government wanted to investigate her abilities. So during her weeks in the city, Esther was visited by several scientifically minded gentlemen who performed tests on her. I imagine these were probably spiritualists, but they're spiritualists working with a military officer. So they were working in a professional capacity. We don't know a ton about this stay. There's no military record or scientific papers that came out about this. But activity continued the whole time. So this is one part of the story that kind of, when you visit all the different sites, I highly recommend, and I'll list the book later, the actual report of the main investigator of this case. Just read his book, because a lot of the sites you'll go to, there's just differing stuff. Like one site I read, she was a 14-year-old girl, and one she was 16, one she was 19.
And that's everything, the story.
That's everything. It's 1878. We're doing the best we can, okay?
Totally. So it's like everyone's piecing it together, yeah.
But anyways, these science-minded men, who remain unnamed, supposedly tested her for 3 weeks. They witnessed the sounds, the thunder sounds, the intelligent knocking, furniture moving, and the disembodied voices. And during the stay with the captain and his wife, there was also activity in their home, but it wasn't crazy. Some knocking, no fires, no one stabbed Esther in the back.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Isn't it funny that it's like, oh, no fires or stabbing for 5 days? You're like peeling the number off the wall, like 0 days.
0 days since our last stabbing via poltergeist. So Esther goes home. Shit hits the fan. All activity starts up immediately. Esther's at her wit's end. The family's at their wit's end. Reporters are showing up daily to ask about the activity. And at this point, a year into all this madness, their family were turning people away. They didn't want any attention anymore. It wasn't helping. No one that came in was fucking helping. Until an American actor shows up. His name was Walter Hubel. He was touring Canada with a group of performers. And one of the things he did in his off time was he would debunk mediums and spiritualists and psychics and people claiming to be experiencing paranormal activity. Spiritualism and mediums were so huge at the time that, of course, there was going to be an industry of people who were like, it's my job to prove that you're full of shit.
And if he was a performer, he's like, well, I have to find my thing, so I am going to be the
Totally.
debunker.
Well, and that's the thing, because he was a stage performer, he felt really confident that he could figure out what stage tricks that Esther was using.
What tricks they were doing, yeah.
To trick everyone into believing they had this poltergeist. So the family heard what he had to say, and they agreed to let him stay. And he stayed for 2.5 months.
Damn.
From June to August of 1879, he lived with this family.
I do want to go on record again to say no one had anything to fucking do in this time. You were listening to thunderclaps in your neighbor's house, or you were trying to disprove a poltergeist.
Yeah.
For months.
If these people had TikTok, nothing would have gotten done.
We're so lucky we can stare at our screens all day.
This man Walter Hubel, the skeptic, remained until the day of his death fully convinced that what was happening in that house was real.
Was real! I'm so glad he's one of us. He knew.
A quote from his later in life is, "From what I saw and heard in that house, I have been led to believe that the ghosts of the dead live in a world similar to ours, and that it is to them just as material as our world is to us."
I mean, what a statement.
Wow. He witnessed physical manifestations, objects being thrown, knocking. He was able to observe Esther as the knocking was happening to ensure her hands, her feet were not obscured. Everyone was in one room. He had his eyes on everyone. No one was pulling any strings. The knocking was coming from nowhere. The entities were able to tell him via the knocking and the raps the time on his watch,
Oh my god.
the dates on the coins in his pocket,
Nope.
something that Esther would not be able to know.
Nope.
He witnessed objects go missing, only to then fall from the ceiling moments later.
Ew. For some reason, that is like one of the worst
Rough.
things you've said. I don't like it.
Hate that. I hate that.
Ew.
There was one day, this is weird. There was one day where matches started falling from the ceiling.
Why?
Just matches. And some of them, here's the thing, that's what they thought the fires came from, because some of the fires, they found matches in the fire, which would be like, well, obviously someone threw a match down there. But it's like, yeah, well, the whole family was fucking in here, so who threw the match then?
Mm-hmm. So when, where, how, why? Yeah.
We're not saying like the fire started from nothing, but we are saying that we didn't fucking start the we didn't start the fire.
It was always burning because of Esther something. I don't know. We don't know what it is.
So anyways, Walter was a smoker, and he thought it would be funny if every time he needed to light his cigarette or pipe or whatever he was smoking, he would say out loud, "Bob, I'd like a few matches if you please." And one or two matches would fall from the ceiling, and it would happen almost every time. There were 2 consecutive days where over 45 matches fell from what seemed to be nowhere.
Oh my god. Okay, as a former smoker, as scary as it would be, like the first, not even like first time, like first 10 times, I'd be terrified. After a while, I'd be like,
"Can I get a light?"
you got this?
But the craziest manifestation.
Oh no.
Because, like, okay, matches falling from the ceiling. I guess someone could flick a match and make it seem like it fell from the ceiling, and maybe they were hiding.
Okay,
like,
Ashley.
who knows?
Sure.
But there was one day, and this only happened one day, but it was traumatic for everyone. There was one day where the family was being terrorized by a trumpet. A trumpet
I'm already mad.
was being blown all throughout the house, all day, sometimes right next to family members' ears.
What?
All day.
That's traumatizing in so many ways.
You could hear trumpet sounds from like other rooms, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, "Bah!" like right in your ear. Like, how I would.
No.
There's no way I would survive this. Until late that evening, when the family heard a loud clunk in the sitting room, and they came in and found a German silver trumpet sitting in the middle of the room. No one in the family played or owned a trumpet. No one knows where the trumpet came from.
I'm sorry, I can't stop the side twitch. That is insane. It's insane.
So the story is wrapping up, but Walter did talk Esther into going on a speaking tour with him after he stayed with her for the 2.5 months to discuss her experiences, potentially even allow others to witness the phenomenon as well, because clearly it was wherever she went that this followed.
Yeah.
But that didn't last very long because audiences were horrible. Glad to see that we have never changed. They were constantly heckling her, and she basically was like, "I don't need this.
Good for you, Esther.
I'm going through enough right now. I don't need this."
Man, people have just really hated women forever.
Yeah, weird. In this country?
I know.
So she went back home. She was like, "I'm done."
Poor Esther.
She didn't want to go back to her family, though. because they'd had enough. She wanted to give them peace. So she got a job on a local farm. It was the Davidson farm. She began to live with a neighboring family named the Von Ambergs. But that didn't last long because the Van Amberg family started noticing items of theirs going missing. Clothing and silverware, matches, etc. And the items started popping up in the barn owned by the Davidsons. So obviously they blamed Esther for taking these items. She professed her innocence. She tried to explain this
the
just
magnet
happens.
that
Like, I'll
lives
bring
by
it
me.
back.
It's
like
like
it's
a
not. I don't.
things like fly around.
It's not. I don't want this to
I was
happen.
just
I'm not
sleeping.
stealing.
I just go.
Obviously, they didn't believe her. But before the authorities could investigate the crime, the Davidson barn burned to the ground.
These fires.
Esther Cox ended up being arrested for arson. She actually got sentenced. She was sentenced to 4 months of prison. She only ended up having to serve 1 month because of good behavior. And in that month, no paranormal activity occurred as far as we know. And it never occurred again.
What the fuck? Why?
I don't know. Well, here's the thing. Did it never occur again? Or did she just stop fucking telling people about it because no one was helping her and it didn't matter?
Girl, I would maybe never report it again, so I get it.
She got out of prison. She got married like immediately. Apparently a suitor had like come to visit her in prison. I don't know if they knew each other before, if it was one of those weird situations, like a weird prison wife guy. But she married this guy, had a baby with him, married another guy after him, had a baby with him. So she ended up having 2 kids.
I mean, get your life.
I mean, yeah, live your life. She died at 52 in 1912. And it seems that she lived a completely normal life, but she was super secretive. She never talked to the public again regarding this case. So it's hard to say if nothing truly ever happened again or if she just decided it was easier to deal with it by herself and not have the spectacle as well.
I wonder if, like, after, I mean, literally everything, all the hell she went through, and then doing the prison time, if she was just like, nope, like, this isn't getting me anywhere, like, trying to ask for help, so let me just, like, light my little fires and have spoons fly by my face until I
Stab into
die.
my back.
Maybe a knife or two will come for me.
I don't know.
I'm just gonna live this life. But yeah, and then the other part of me is like, or what if it didn't happen again? Like, what stopped it? I don't know.
Well, you know, that's every poltergeist case that's ever been studied eventually seems to stop.
It does. So it's like, when does the energy move on?
Yeah, she grew out of it. She was a teenager when it started. Maybe she grew out of whatever that weird teenager phase is we all go through where our senses are so heightened and she stopped having such strange phenomena. Like, I don't fucking know.
Damn.
But Walter Hubel, a staunch skeptic up until meeting Esther and her family, ended up taking his diary from the months that he spent in the house and turned it into a very successful book called The Great Amherst Mystery. Not only did he sell 50,000 copies of his book, it was so successful it literally named the case The Great Amherst Mystery. He continued to debunk supernatural activity for the rest of his career, but he had a much more open mind after what he experienced in that cottage. There are skeptics, obviously, who claim that Esther was clearly behind all of the events that took place, that she was seeking attention, that it was a trauma response from the attempted assault, etc., etc., especially due to the fact that none of the activity ever happened when she wasn't around. This was long before the poltergeist was known nomenclature, and the idea of people being haunted as opposed to houses, that wasn't in the paranormal zeitgeist. Like, this was pretty, there were major cases that happened before, Bell Witch had happened, but I'd tend to believe them as well. If this case didn't have so many witnesses.
That's exactly it. It's like, I know there are so many stories out there, but it's like the amount of witnesses and like the fact that there's books. Are there 2 books? Because it's Hubel and Who else? Wasn't there another one?
No, Walter Hubel was the one that wrote the main. I'm sure that other people have written books on it, but he's the one that like took his diary.
Okay, that was like the main one. Yeah.
And a copy of the, book, it's really like a manuscript at the time. It's like 50 pages long. It's a little like flimsy manuscript, but there's a sworn affidavit that starts the book that says like I would swear on a Bible. I would go to court and testify
That this is truth.
that what I say happened is what happened. Another theory was put forth by one of the local doctors, Dr. Nathan Tupper, and that was that Esther was mesmerizing people to believe that they were seeing things that they weren't. Of course, his treatment suggestion was to whip her with a rawhide leather whip until she stopped.
Ew.
Which no one felt like she deserved,
Sure.
and no one wanted to do. So they did not try that. But yeah, to this day, no one knows what the fuck was happening in this cottage in Amherst, Nova Scotia.
Canada's a friendly, happy place, so this shouldn't be happening there.
I know, this shouldn't be happening there. They shouldn't have anything happen there. But this is cool. The town or the city of Amherst holds a festival every October known as Esther Fest. It includes all kinds of things.
Esther
A block
Fest?
party. Yes. It includes a block party with street vendors, a ghost tour, paranormal investigations, a psychic fair, a town-wide youth dance called the Monster Mash, staged readings, sometimes full productions of the play called Guilty, the story of the great Amherst mystery, and last year they even held a Halloween drag show. So basically, I'm moving to Nova Scotia.
I was going to say, we're moving there, or have you booked our tickets for the trip to go to Esther Fest? Well, okay, that's kind of a beautiful ending in that way, because, like, fuck yeah, Esther. We love you.
Yeah, the town is very much so proud of their most famous strange story.
Dear God. That was a great story, and I love you for it. Love you for that beautiful story. I love Esther Fest.
Esther Fest rules. Okay. That's all the time we have this week for Keep It Weird. Thank you so much for tuning in as usual. Do us a huge favor, please. Follow us on social media if you aren't already at Keep It Weirdcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Keep It Weird Podcast. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/Keep It Weird Podcast. It's how we keep the show running after all these years. You can make a one-time donation or you can donate $1, $5, or $10 monthly, and in return you'll get bonus episodes, discounts on merch, and free tarot card readings. And also, please rate us 5 stars on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. There are a ton of easy and free ways to support your favorite shows, including sharing our clips and episodes with your friends. So keep up the good work out there, weirdos. You are killing it.
We love it. Thank you.
Okay, let's spin the wheel and see how we're going to end this episode. If it's inspirational, I'll kill myself. It's our very first rant.
We've never done rant.
We've never done rant. What a beautiful time. What?
I know, but like, what do I even choose to rant about?
What could we rant about?
I mean, besides the obvious.
Besides the super fucking obvious.
I almost want to find like a more unique rant, but
I know you want to find something that's like, I hate when shoelaces are round and not flat.
But not even that. But
it's really silly to like be upset about that right now when people are dying. It's a really rough time out there. Yeah, I feel like I could rant about a whole bunch of shit right now. Fuck, what do we do? This is a bad time to get rant.
It is a really bad time to get rant because I'm like, fuck ice.
Would you like a feminist rant? Would you like an anti-immigration rant? Would you like a Palestinians
Palestinians
deserve to be free
Donald
rant?
Trump's fucking birthday parade. Also, the way this is kind of a rant that's a sidestep, so it doesn't have to be like fully what everyone's heard. And I feel like this is good timing because I'm in Illinois, and a lot of my Illinois family and friends have been texting me saying Hey, are you okay? Like, is California on fire? What's going on?
Oh boy.
A, you are texting a white woman who is like totally safe and fine. So, like, I know your heart is in the right place. This is not me ranting about my loved ones checking on me, but that's just something to say. Like, I'm okay. Many people are not and are being taken away when they shouldn't be. But I also need to rant about the painted picture of California right now that is false. A lot of pictures of the George Floyd riots from 2020 are coming out, and people are using those photos on Fox News, of course, but many other places saying, like,
Mm-hmm.
LA is burning. Look at these animals. Look at the violence. Every protest has been so peaceful. The No Kings rally,
Completely.
which my sweet husband went to, I was flying back to Illinois already. He went. It was so beautiful. And like all the pictures I've seen from other states too have been lovely. So, like, California is doing fine. I actually think we are like band together more than ever. What is happening to the people, like, to the immigrants who are being taken away and who have made a life for themselves and have family and businesses and beautiful things, that part is garbage. But like, LA is not on fire, and I actually think like the community has come out in droves, and it's been really beautiful to see. So like, don't believe the trash you see on the news.
Yeah. If your news sources are telling you that LA is on fire and there are riots, I just need to let you know right now, you need a different news source. That is not
Truly.
what's happening. I obviously am not there, but I have 1,000 mutual friends who are present at these peaceful
Very
protests.
peaceful.
No one is destroying anything. Of course, anytime there's unrest, there's clearly going to be people that take advantage of that
Sure. Like, yeah,
and
there's
rob
incidences. I'm not saying
stores.
like
Like,
there was
of
nothing.
course.
Like, yes, of course, but it
No.
wasn't what was being just like literally it was showing like smoke in the air, and there that has happened in LA before, but like the pictures were not recent.
I also need to stress that when you call them illegals, okay, when you call them illegal immigrants, they are not actually breaking a
They're
law
not.
by being here. It's more of a civil suit.
I had to do research on that if I'm being honest. Again, like I'm a white idiot.
You can't be arrested
You cannot.
for it. And therefore, you shouldn't be sent to these, wherever you're being sent to, these fucking centers
Or you're being held.
where no one is asking you your name. They don't even know who you are. You haven't broken any laws.
Correct. You have not committed a crime.
That is why the No Kings rally and people are protesting. It's not because we believe that immigrants, like, you can be undocumented and live here, blah 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 blah. But the thing is like, you're not actually getting rid of criminals and drug dealers.
Right.
You're arresting people when they show up to their court appointed hearings, when they are literally following the rules. I'm literally here for my court hearing, and you're arresting them at the door. It's disgusting. It's horrific.
It's horrific.
It shouldn't be happening in a free country. Shouldn't be happening anywhere on earth, because here's the thing: war is insane. The fact that, like, any one of us as a human being would purposefully attempt to murder other human beings for whatever geopolitics, my fucking ass. What are we doing? Everyone is a human. No one needs to blow each other up. This is a mess.
It's such a mess.
And we have the absolute worst case scenario person in office right now to be dealing with the world currently.
Yes, with the world, because it's like we are such a powerful country, and that fucking sucks that like you are in charge of this, because like look at what is happening where all of these people are being punished for literally just living and trying to make a life. Like they arrived somewhere to make a life for themselves, and like America was built that way. Like, A, it was colonized, it was stolen land already, so but like that could be a separate rant.
But, like, that was our thing
But
for
that's our
like
thing.
hundreds of years. Come here. Start your life.
And now the people who have come here, had their babies, lived their life, fucking made it, went to school, doing their...
Pay their taxes.
Paying their fucking taxes, paying every bill. And they're still being pulled aside, and it's like, well, the color of your skin.
These illegal immigrants pay more taxes every year than Elon Musk and Donald Trump combined. Because they don't pay taxes. Because they're criminals.
And they're billionaires. So anyway.
And that was our rant. We hope you enjoyed it.
I'm gonna light things on fire like Esther.
I'm gonna turn full fucking Esther on you bitches. Matches are gonna be falling from the ceiling.
We're going full fucking Esther.
Full fucking Esther. And that's the title of the episode. And we hope you guys have a great week.
And keep it super weird.
Keep it super fucking weird.